right, welcome. I'm here with Don Reichelt of the U.S. 24-hour team. He's fourth on the team out of Colorado. Don, where are you originally from?
I am born and raised in the Quad Cities in Iowa, so specifically Bettendorf, Iowa is my hometown.
That's funny because I saw there was something the other day about a race called the Quad Cities, and I'm like, or was it a something? And I'm like, where's the Quad Cities? I literally had to Google it.
Which is one of the most famous races in the U.S. road race. It's a 7-mile race in Davenport, which is part of the Quad Cities. So it's a massive race, I think 40 or 50,000 people or something anymore. So
yeah,
it's huge.
Do they do a big golf tournament out there too?
They do. Quad Cities Classic.
Or that's what it was. On Sundays, I watch golf with my dad because that's all he will watch. And I'm like, he's like, it's in the Quad Cities. I don't know where that is. And I'm like,
excuse me, it's a John Deere Classic in Quad Cities.
Yeah, that sounds right. There was John Deere tractors on the course. So, and you're living out in Colorado now?
Yeah. So my wife and I live in Centennial, Colorado, which is just a few minutes south suburb of Denver.
On the front range.
Front range here.
Front range. So a lot of good places to run out there. You guys are blessed.
We actually just moved back to the Denver area. For the last 5 years, we've been living in a small mountain town called Fairplay, which is more famously known as South Park. So my wife and I lived in South Park, as in the cartoon, for 5 years. Our house is right at 10,000 feet. And ironically, one of the reasons I started loop running in circles is because in the middle of winter at 10,000 feet, there's really nowhere you can run except by doing loops around the courthouse.
Oh, wow.
I'm not there anymore. We escaped. We're back to civilization.
That's nice. I actually have that in my notes, South Park. I heard you say it another place. And what do you do for a job, Don?
Yeah. So main work is I'm the head of Americas for an apparel company out of Copenhagen, Denmark called Saysky. So I manage all of our North American accounts for them. And so I do all the sales and marketing, and it's a freaking blast. It's an incredible company based on community building around running and athletes and the everyday runner. And I've had a ton of fun with it I've been with them for it'll be 2 years at the end of the year.
Yeah, that's what's awesome about the sport recently. You're getting all these little companies coming in, whether it's a shoe company, apparel company, and it's just they're geared towards the runner, which is kind of nice. So you're not dealing with Nike. We're not going to talk about them.
Yeah. It's cool, and Saysky specifically, it started with the idea that your pace is your least interesting thing about you, and no matter how fast or slow or wherever you are, you deserve really nice, comfortable stuff. And that's the whole ethos of the brand. It's nobody cares if you're elite, if you're brand new. It's welcome and join our tribe.
Yep, I like that. And then a little bit about your running history.
Gosh, I got into running because I was a fat ex-collegiate rower that didn't know what to do, and I actually got into triathlon first and lost 50, 60 pounds. I was 200 pounds after college and needed an athletic outlet, and so I got into triathlon, and I hated swimming, and a buddy of mine was doing Leadman in Leadville, and I jumped in. I just moved to Colorado, and I paced him for a section of the Leadville 100, and I was like, this is cool. What a cool community. It's way cooler, way nicer than triathletes. I'm going to do this. So I jumped in, and I was absolutely terrible. I was fighting cutoffs. I was back of the pack, party pace, whatever you want to call it. But I loved it. I loved the process. I loved the journey. And, that was a little over 10 years ago now. And since then, I've dabbled in just a little bit of everything within specifically ultra running, and it's kind of been my ethos. Is even though I'm particularly good at one element of ultra running, it doesn't keep me from doing the things that I am not great at, which is big mountain stuff. I love being out in the mountains, even though I'm not a great racer at ultra distance on mountains. I still love to do it. So if you look at my ultra sign up, it's kind of all over the board of me just dabbling in a little bit of experiential everything.
Yeah, I was impressed about it. It is all over the place, including you are a lead man, aren't you?
I am. That was my first 100-mile run. Was the 100-mile at Leadville during Leadman.
Okay.
So I literally just jumped right into the ultra stuff, and go big or go home, and haven't looked back since.
Yeah, eventually I would like to try the Leadman, but the mountain bike scares the heck out of me.
I finished the mountain bike with 12 minutes to spare on the clock, and then I turned around the next weekend and finished the run with like 61 minutes to spare or something like that.
Jeez. So yeah. So you are all over the place on it. Everything from Spartathlon in 2017. If you don't know that race, wicked cutoffs. Congrats on that. Tunnel Hill, is that your Tunnel Hill 22? I know Tunnel Hill was your first ultra in 2014, but 2020 is that your fastest 100-mile?
Yeah. 13:16 is definitely the fastest.
And you had a heck of a competition out there that day.
Yeah, that was run 13:16 and finished third. It was a tough go, but it was one of those days where I was ecstatic for everybody on the podium, and I ran what I wanted to. I ran faster than I thought I could, and I was didn't even cross my mind that I was third. It didn't matter at all.
Yeah. I saw the time. I saw third place on Ultra Sign Up, and I'm like, who the heck beat him? I'm like, it had to be the year Taggart was out there.
And Arlen Glick.
Yeah.
Two absolute hammers. And Arlen and I ran the first, I want to say like 60, 70 miles together or something. And then like it was getting a little spicy for me, and I wanted to just like power down just a touch. And he took off. And I think he ran like 12:40 or 12:50 or something like that. And it's wild. And that race is getting faster and faster and faster. I don't even think 13:16 would have been on the podium this year. Something like
Really? That is impressive. You also did a 48-hour at Jackpot 2023, 184 miles.
Just an experiment, because I was training for Cocodona and had never ever done a second night in an ultra before, so I figured like let's give it a go at Jackpot, and I got humbled.
I was gonna ask you, how did that second night? Because the first time I ever tried a second night, it was not good.
It was so rough. I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to manage being tired. It was very, very challenging. I learned a lot. I didn't learn enough to do well at Cocodona for the sleep, but I learned something.
And you learn how to deal with a third night.
Yeah. Now I know.
Was Fat Ox in 2023, was that your first 24-hour loop race?
Yeah, so I'd done one 24-hour previous to that, but that was on a manual treadmill. So I went after the 1,200-mile and 24-hour manual treadmill world records in a year before Fat Ox, whatever year that was. And so I had never experienced 24 hours, and why not do it as boring as possible on a
treadmill,
manual curved treadmill indoors. So that was my first 24-hour experience, and then Fat Ox was my first looped actual official fixed time race.
And then you went to 6 days in the Dome, put up 100 and was it 140?
144 at the Dome.
Yeah. And then you went to Desert.
I'm gonna. I usually don't do this, but one of the races I'm most proud of in my life, we've glossed over, and I just want to throw it out there, is Badwater in 2018.
I did have that, and I forgot to mention it.
Finishing on the podium at Badwater is one of the proudest things of my running career. So that's probably the coolest thing I've done is run Badwater, and I'm glad I did it well once because I don't have to go back.
Yeah. So yeah, that was 2018 third place podium at Badwater. Pretty impressive. I was listening to a podcast of someone who ran it today, and today I was listening to a podcast. They DNF'd it, a couple weeks ago. Tough race, and they were from Florida. Florida usually has a big pool down there over there at Badwater.
It's so brutal. Yeah. So those skills, I think, and then Tunnel Hill that translated to like, okay, like I can figure out what that gear is, right, for fixed time, and then I knew. So Fat Ox, the weather was bad. I had a bad race, but I learned a ton, and so I was able to go November to June and apply everything that I learned at Fat Ox and take it to the Dome. So that's where I got my first team qualifier at 144 and change.
Yep. And that was a third place finish there. And then shortly,
a team of a lot of third place finishes on my ultra sign up.
I got a lot of locally Florida. I got a lot of second. I don't like second. But then you turned around, Desert Solstice, you qualified again, and this is the one that got you on the team with 154.34 miles at Desert Solstice, and that was second overall. That got you on the team. I didn't even realize that the 2024 6 days in the Dome was in the qualifying period for this cycle. So that was impressive. That was a fun day out there. But congrats on Desert Solstice, and that you even hit the 100-mile in 14:18, which is pretty impressive, especially in a 24-hour race.
Yeah, I was feeling good early, and then paid the price a bit in the last 6 hours. But I learned what I'm capable of. I'll put it that way at the 24-hour distance in that first 100 miles. So more to come.
And then recently, I think you said 8 or 9 days ago, you got first overall at the Creed 100, and we were talking about that before we started this chat about the difficulties of that race in Colorado.
Yeah, 108 miles, average elevation about 11,500 feet, 20,000 feet of climbing, zero shade, aid stations 4 hours apart, and 80 degrees at 11,000 feet. So I thank God I brought a filter bottle, because I was filtering water for every puddle and pond and anything I could find along the way. It was so brutally hot. But yeah, that race was a fun way I stayed local. I obviously didn't get into any of the big races, the Western, the Hard Rocks, or even High-Low that I wanted to get. So I picked a race that was going to keep me fit through the summer. It was going to be local, but also kind of low pressure in a way. Like the 24-hour World Champs is the goal. It's the big goal. But I wanted a fun local mountain race to keep me training, keep me focused, and that was a perfect race to line up and run.
So with all these different types of races, what is your favorite, or what do you think you excel at the most?
Yeah, flat and fast, definitely what I excel at the most. Mountains for hours and seeing nature is probably what I enjoy the most. So there's a good mixture. So again, you look at the ultra sign up, and it goes back and forth between really slow middle of the pack performance at a crazy mountain race, and then competitive at now a looped race or like a Tunnel Hill style, something like that.
I definitely feel you on that. So I love the mountains, but I seem to run more flat races here.
Yeah, for me, it's always been a mental battle with flat races, even looped races. I can turn the brain off and I can run. I remember Tunnel Hill. I didn't even start thinking about pace until mile 60, 65, something like that. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm averaging 7:45s at mile 70. So I'm able to shut the brain off, but I find these mountain courses, it goes up and then it goes down, and it goes up and it goes down. It's like as soon as you kind of get into a groove, it changes elevation, it changes pitch, and then you have to think and overthink and suffer again. So I definitely do best mentally, because I can just shut the brain off for long periods of times on these flat or repetitive races.
Yeah, you definitely have to shut your brain down when you're doing a flat one. And 6 days in a Dome, pacing at 6 days in the Dome was very difficult.
Yeah, like 490 whatever meter oval, or lap times don't matter. My 2:21 per lap is, I can't do that math, and so it's a blessing and a curse. It's like I can't do the math, and I can't really think through what that pace means, but also I don't know how fast I'm running or if I'm running too fast, unless I look at there's a little pace chart somewhere in the facility.
Right inside the doors.
Yeah. At the Dome, my crew had a little whiteboard, and they would, like, if I started running too fast, they would draw like a little rabbit or something on a whiteboard, and then just hold it up, and I would know, like, okay, maybe a little hot, I'm going too fast. And likewise, if I started slowing down, there was like a turtle or hey, that lap was 2:30, you want to run 2:22s, like maybe pick it up a little bit.
That is funny, because I think I do remember the whiteboard being out there, because they were writing some funny stuff on it.
Yeah, we were doing, and we brought this to Solstice as well. We were doing Pictionary. They would have a lap to draw something, and as I ran by, I would have to try to guess what it was, and it was just you knew right at hour 18 to keep fun. And yeah, the Dome was a ton of fun because we had all the 10 days, the 6 days, the long races out there. They were kind of going slower, and they were taking advantage of it too. And my crew was entertaining pretty much everybody that was out, having a good day, bad day, any day. If they want to see a picture of a poorly drawn hedgehog and try to guess what it is, my crew got you.
I forgot all about that. It was fun. All right, last question, so we can wrap this up. Is the course? Have you done? So this course is right around a mile-ish.
Right.
Have you done a loop course with like a non-track?
Well, Fat Ox is 0.9 something miles on that loop. So the good with that is that I know what it feels like to do those loops. The challenge, I think, the new challenge for me in LB is going to be, there's a lot of turns. Like, it's a kind of a windy 1,500 meters where you're like on the track, and then you go around and you take a hard turn, and you like kind of just like weave in and out of the course. So that, I think, is going to be a new thing for me, is constantly, like, I can't just, kind of put it in the low gear and just run in a circle following a line. I have to kind of weave in and out of a path. So I've done the distance in a loop course before, but never such a turny, windy course.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting that they would put turns like this on a course. Like Chad Lasser was talking about in 2023, they had a 180-degree turn at one point. You're like, why would you put that on a course?
Yeah, it seems like really poor design.
Yeah, well, good deal. So we appreciate you coming on. We're looking forward to you guys this year going out there. I think you guys have a great teams. The men and the women look pretty strong. So we're going to try and keep up with you guys as your progress heads towards France in October. So we're looking forward to it. So thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for doing this. Thank you for helping with the awareness side of it. And biggest honor of my life is going to be putting that Team USA singlet on. So I can't wait.